All right, so this is kind of a tool here. We wanted to talk about how do you find the gaps? Well, you start with an assessment. Then you look at your physical security as part of that, right? We can't just ignore physical access because access has always been root, right? Meaning that if you're in the building or in the IT room and you have access to a system, there is definitely a possibility you could get root access. Maybe you plug that USB in or know what you're doing or have a rubber ducky in your pocket, which is just a little USB device that looks like a thumb drive and isn't. It's a lot more than that. So really understanding that. And then we also create the plans, we also monitor all of these, right? Because we want to look for those gaps. And really, this is one of the core functionalities of monitoring, in my opinion, especially when we're using AI and machine learning. But at the end of the day, it's the humans. Gotta have humans to make those decisions because I don't trust AI. I've seen the movies. I know where that ends. And so we really want to understand that as part of the plans and the methodology, creating that if plan and making sure it's a when plan, right? What do we do when it happens? Well, this is what we're going to do, and taking those what ifs and arming that. And then helping people be aware, training, and communication of those plans, and then training on those plans, all really important. And then creating that as part of a COOP plan, your disaster recovery. How are we going to continue operations if everything is lost? You've got to have that plan. And hopefully you never need it, right? Hopefully it's just an expensive doorstop, right? So that we don't need it. But we've had it, we've trained on it so that when we need it, it's there. And then really making sure that our awareness training is up to date. This is something that often people fall down on, but it's an incredibly effective way to limit risk. Start with training. Absolutely. It's the most cost-effective way. So really understanding it as we move forward. And then deploy monitoring. Yes, we're going to talk about monitoring, and not because we're a monitoring company, but because this is a requirement. It's now built in NIST, and we should do that. And then having somebody who's got our back, whether that's our team, whether it's our vendors, whether it's a monitoring company such as us. You've got to have that making sure that you understand it, so that as we move forward, we are as prepared as we can be. All right, 7 ways to close data security breaches. Well, let's talk about good data hygiene on systems. Patch management is a key of that, but also maybe it's a separate layer, right? Really understanding that, using multi-factor in any way we can, every way we can, anytime we can. And then making sure that we also have the ability to log the thing, so we can go back and figure out how could we improve it going forward or prevent that from happening again, right?
Having the audit trail too.
Yeah, absolutely a requirement now. We need to have other people check for us and assess us and understand it. We do that too. Implement a fast analytics platform so that we understand and make good decisions as quickly as possible. Informed decisions, it's what it's about. Threat hunters are always useful because it's their task, their job. It's something that we pride ourselves on, is being up to date, right? We got to have that intelligence as to how the world is changing. What does that attack surface look like today as opposed to 5 minutes ago or yesterday? Regularly running these awarenesses, these trainings, and tabletops. Public safety is great at training. Well, let's train for this too. And when we look at this piece, when we look at where's our gaps? Well, our gaps are pervasive. Our gaps are in the risk management itself. It's in the security understanding. It's how do we even understand that we got hit, and how did they get in? Well, we need all of that. And then as we then protect ourselves with perimeters, with platforms, with endpoints, and end user protection, we can get to a higher standard. We can cover the security stack in a better way, because the problem is right now, each of those gaps represents an opportunity for the bad guys. So we really must step it up and reduce the risk across the board. That's really the goal. This is one of the things that we pride ourselves on focusing on, finding the behaviors between those that allow the gaps through. And it doesn't have to be us, but it must be. We've got to find ways to become aware of what we're missing by asking others, by sharing knowledge, by really getting into the weeds of our risk and understanding what it looks like.